Hi, this is Fred Davenport. Listen to the User Sense with Michael and Jeremy on your favorite way of getting a podcast.
Welcome back to the Usual Saints. I'm Mike Deere here with Jeremy. Vinny is apparently unavailable for this interview with Mikey P, host of We Speak English Good. Do you think he knows that that's not correct English?
I don't know. I'm assuming Vinny's on a ship in the Bering Sea. That's what we're going to go with this week.
Oh, yeah? Vinny and Saint are hanging out together?
Yeah, probably flew up there for the weekend.
Oh, that's nice. It's nice. It's nice of Vinny to let us know that. I mean, he did say he could go remote, but then after that, it's like his phone disappeared or something. And so, I don't know. We'll see.
He has caller ID. He can see who the messages are from, and he didn't disappear.
Well, I have not called him. Who calls anyone anymore? No, text, message.
I try not to talk on the phone.
Yeah, I try to avoid it. And I bet you definitely don't use FaceTime. I'm surprised you like doing this at all. I mean, geez, that's rough.
I was a fan of us just recording it, not putting it on video, but hey, whatever.
We recorded on video right away. What are you talking about?
We talked about not doing that because of internet connections. I was like, we can just talk.
But no, that was week one.
You bitches wanted to be recorded, whatever.
Well, we like to show our beautiful faces off, and then, we like showing that we do charity cases by letting you be on the podcast. Yeah. So how did Chris's homework go? Since you wanted to bust my balls and try to, be like, I don't know if I'll be ready.
We didn't get everything done, but he's within a week of being caught up. So
Sophie's got an entire project to do this weekend, plus a bunch of chores around the house. And you know what? Ain't up to me if she doesn't graduate 8th grade. That's her fault.
Yeah. Okay. I try to help him out. I sit there and try to explain the math because the online virtual math is freaking horrible. I mean, they have an instruction video, which is maybe 10 minutes long, maybe 15. Then they have an assignment that has like 8 questions in it. And then they have a quiz. And then there's a test at the end. I'm like, what? Seriously? Like 8 questions? That's all you give them to you show them how to do like 5 things. And then you give them 8 questions and then you test them on it. I'm like, that is not how you do math. You have instruction, you show them how to do 20, 30 questions. You give them 20, 30 questions to do. You go over how to do those, and then you might be able to test them on it. And there's just no repetition. It's just freaking horrible way of teaching math.
Well, Sophie's, go ahead.
Kind of like when they were, little kids. Oh, we're not going to teach them their multiplication tables. What the fuck do you mean you're not going to teach them? Oh, well, that's not. We want them to think of how to do it. We don't want them to just memorize it. Fuck that. Memorizing it works. Guess what? It's been happening for 50 fucking years around here. It fucking works.
Sophie,
I don't want my kid counting on his fingers in the grocery store or at the restaurant trying to figure out the fucking tip. Memorizing that shit works.
1, 3, 4, 5.
No, nothing like that. No.
All right. Sophie's in virtual geometry, so that's interesting because she's never done that before, but whatever. She seems to be doing okay. She has a high B, but I'm hoping her to get up to an A. We'll see.
You help her out at all?
No. All right. I don't remember geometry. All right. Let's let Mike in.
Tell her to give me a call.
Well, I'll make sure. See, look, Mike comes in and he's got these fancy backgrounds and everything. I talked to him about this the other day. I got this.
Hey, man, anything that would distract from your face would help, though. So maybe we can get some tips from him.
Just the tips, though. Just the tips. That was easy. It was low-hanging fruit. I'm sorry.
It's all right. We're all about the low-hanging fruit. Oh, yeah. See, look, he's got sound effects. I love this guy.
It was really loud.
That's all right. Hey, Mike. So I'm Mike. We talked before, and that's Jeremy, even though it says head. He forgets to change his name all the time.
That every time. I don't know what the hell's wrong. I'm 41. I don't know how this technology shit works.
I know, man. I'm almost there too. I'm 30. I'm about to be 38. It's crazy.
All right. But all right.
Crazy to think about.
So, I mean, obviously we connected, we both do the podcast. I wanted to kind of, talk to you a little bit. What got you into it? You've been doing it for a little bit now, right? You're up to a few episodes. I mean,
I got one or two out there. Oh, geez, Louise. Okay. Now I can hear myself now. All right. Well, hi everybody. I'm Mike. These are my podcast things. I'm shameless promoting it right now. It's just in your face and blatant. I've been doing the show for about 7 years. I got about 300. Let's see, we released 308th episode on Friday. And what got me into podcasting was, well, I was in a band out in San Diego, California, and we, like many bands out there, we were very close and it was like a brotherly type of thing. And we mostly hung out. We didn't do a lot of banding. We didn't do a lot of practice. We didn't do a lot of writing. We mostly just hung out and shit talked, which, dudes will be dudes. That's how it goes sometimes. But what we were noticing, that we were having these really cool conversations outside of the rehearsal space while they're smoking and drinking and stuff. So I was like, we should just do this and record it. People would love it. And that quickly we started it and that quickly fell apart because there's 5 people in the band and I wanted it to be all of us. So I was always constantly holding off on booking and doing all this stuff, waiting for the other guys. And I kind of saw you guys, heard you guys talking before I came on, and you're like, oh yeah, homeboy's not going to show up. Okay. And that's how it was, and my show was a little bit more raucous than it is now back in the day. Cause I would have like a panel of people. We'd have liquor. It was California. So I was just growing all the weed in my backyard and just supplying the party, so it was a little bit more, a little crazier, and I didn't know how to speak very well, and I am aware that we speak English good is improper English.
We figured. We were just joking.
That's the terrible joke. That's the hard. Well, no, yeah. I mean, it's a terrible joke. It's not a good joke at all. But who laughs at it is like nerds. Nerds laugh. That's funny. So whatever.
Mike's been laughing at it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
both
funny.
Both mics are like, well. I was super high one day and that just came to me. So that's where that comes from. There's nothing really special about it. But what's weird about the name is that it's kind of taken ownership on how I communicate and because I can talk to people and I'm gotten really good at explaining myself and explaining ideas. But I still trip up on stuff and I still get things wrong and I'm still going and I'm like stammering over my words and I'm got poor grammar and like, especially on Twitch, like poor grammar is just the worst because a lot of it's typing and I'm a terrible typer and a bad grammar. So anyways, We Speak English Good has become a good representative of what and how the show functions because it's kind of off, right? It's not quite right because I'm just sort of this really frenetic energy person who's it works. It's something that came to be over time, but it works. It's just one of those things. But yeah, I started the podcast in part because I wanted to talk shit with my friends. And there was another part where I wanted to network because we're musicians and I wanted to talk to musicians. So we decided that it was it was a music-based thing, and we'd use this as a way of networking with other bands in town or around the country. And, again, it quickly fell apart and it actually just turned into my show. And that's fine because I am very hands-on every aspect of the show. So it turned out to be a good thing that it's in my control. But yeah, part of it was networking. Part of it was just hanging out. And then there was another part where I wanted to learn how to communicate better with people. Because at the time I had just quit drinking. My father had passed away. I found out my wife was pregnant and I found out I was also going bald all in like a 3-month span of time. So like, it was a very good way for me to, with my newfound abstinence of alcohol and finding out that I was sort of this person who've been running away from being a human being for 15, 20 years, being on drugs and alcohol, and then being sober, you find out what you've been avoiding all those years with drugs and alcohol. And so I thought at the time it was a good way for me to sort of break past these weird anxiety barriers that I had. So there's a lot of different reasons for why, but those were the main ones. And that was a really long question. And I see some friends in the chat here. Your favorite today, what's up? Thank you for being here. Raina Mystique, thank you so much for showing up. Appreciate it so much.
I love when people bring guests to the chat. We had a cosplayer on the other day, actress as well, and model. I don't want to downplay anything. She's a multi-hyphenate, Michaela Lee. And she brought, I don't know how many people were in there. It was like 50 people. She brought them, and we had 2 phone calls for the first time ever. So it was cool.
I love that. Hey, yeah, you got to crew up. You go. You take them with you. Yeah.
What type of music were you playing?
Good.
I was playing hip hop with that particular band, but in San Diego, that band in particular was like my only creative band. Me and my wife work together, and we're creative and we do covers, but everything else I was doing out in San Diego was like all paid gig type stuff. So, hey, Charlie, thanks for being here. Good to see you.
He's so much better at this than I am. I have the YouTube chat to my left, and so I have to look when he says something. But he's so used to it because you're a Twitcher. But I don't mean to cut you off, man. Go ahead.
No. That's a good point because it's a skill. It's a skill set to be able to look at chat, read it, and be like, oh, hey, what's up? And then continue with what you're doing. It took me a really, really long time because the podcast itself started as audio. So talking face to face with people or Zoom to Zoom, just us, that was usually how I did it. And then last year when I decided to take it to Twitch, it's not just a conversation between me and you anymore. Now it's a conversation between you, me, and fucking 50 other people, so it's like, it gets weird and it gets distracting, but it's a skill set that I'm actually just now getting better at, where I can just sort of be like, hey, what's up, Charlie? Good. Thank you for being here. And then just kind of go right back to where where I was. And it's just a skill set. You'll get it eventually. It's fine.
Definitely. I feel like a big part of that is I need to move my monitors, because right now I got one all the way to the left. So maybe I'll move them a little closer. I need a bigger desk because my space just isn't big enough. That's what my problem is right now.
I share a computer and a space with 2 other people who stream, and it's nuts. It's insanity. So I know what it means for space. I know what it means for people's. I share with my wife, who does not like sharing her shit with me at all. So even right now, my palms are all sweaty and I'm touching keyboards and stuff. And she's just sitting there. Oh God, he's just in there sweating on my shit. And
give him some talcum powder. Dry those hands off.
Yeah, that's what she wants, is powder all over her electronics too.
No, I think I watched your very first show, and that must have been when you had, like you said, your group of peeps, because you had 7 people on it, I think, around a flip up table or something like that. You had the whole mic set up.
Yes, exactly. Those are the beginning days. So you saw that must have been on the YouTube then. Yeah, because the show used to be a YouTube show primarily, and then we decided to take it to audio, which. As soon as we took it to audio, I'm not going to say it skyrocketed, but I mean, the listenership jumped by 100%. So is that right? Maybe more than that. Maybe not that. So we were getting about 50 plays per episode on YouTube. And then as soon as we put it on iTunes, it was getting 500 plays per episode, or 500 downloads. So it was something that made the most sense to take it to audio, because the audio, and even to this day, the audio kills it way over, Twitch or YouTube even. So that was a very old episode, and it's very different now.
No, I've seen more. I forget the guy you interviewed. It was one of these. I think it was on Twitch. I saw it. Mm-hmm. He's a dude with glasses, white dude. I don't want to say bald, but kind of less hair than me. But I think he's a musician, or someone. You're chatting with him. I forget his name though. I wish I remembered his name. But it's cool. The way you obviously like I talked to you offline. You're enabling yourself with the streaming software, or whatever you're using, whatever Twitch or whatever you learn, and so that helps your show get it to the next level, like we talked about earlier, and so that can only add to people who want to see it and are entertained by maybe new people who stumble upon you or get shared by someone else.
Yeah, for sure. Like it's definitely helps, but on Twitch it's weird because everybody's sort of fighting for like the best looking stream, well, the people who matter anyways. Talcum Talk, you slow down your favorite today. Mighty, what's up? Welcome. I gotta do this, guys. I'm sorry, I'm co-opting. Hold on. Mighty. That's for you, Mighty. Thank you for being here. Always great to see your name in the chat. Yeah, the stuff is cool, but it can be a distraction, honestly. Like there's times when I really miss this whole thing where it's just me and my guests, because like I feel like when it's just two people talking, that's when you're really you're getting the most done. And then but then when you invite like anywhere from like 15 to fucking however many other people from the chat in, then it's like it's a different ballgame. It's a different dynamic. So I really do miss that back and forth, the old school way of doing it. But I like that the show has sort of evolved into this weird thing where a community gets to be involved and I get called on my bullshit, like because when you're just talking to somebody and there's no audience or anything, there's no instantaneous feedback. It's like, maybe in a couple of weeks you'll get that angry email from that one person that was offended about that thing you said, and then by then I just think it's funny and like whatever, I don't care. But when it's like blatantly right in front of you, where the whole community can see what was just said, and then they pile on, and then they're like, "Yeah, you're wrong, Mike," or like, "Don't talk like that, Mike," or "Stop saying that," and like. It's a different dynamic. So I do really, I absolutely love what Twitch is. And I mean, I love what my show has become. It took some time getting used to, and there's some learning curves that I'm still learning, but I mean, it's just, it's a different dynamic. It's just a different thing, man. And that's all. It's not better or worse. It's just different.
All right. Yeah, I've reached out to a few people trying to get some musical guests. We haven't been able to have any yet. And I don't know how well it would play over, Zoom and YouTube the way we record right now. Mm-hmm. There's a small band in Virginia. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. They're called LA Dies, like spells ladies is their tagline. But they're really cool. I just stumbled upon them in Winston-Salem bar one time in North Carolina when I was up there. And so I reached out to them, haven't heard back yet, but you're technically, I guess, the first musician we've had, even though you're not playing anything right now.
I don't sing anything either. So like, I'm literally like the worst musician to have on because I'm not a singer. I don't have much to say. I just know how to play. So you got your
freestyle raps? Is that what you got?
I try because we started something on the show called Cypher Deluxe, which is where we open up our Discord to the community, and they can come in and spit a hot 16, or they can like recite a poem, or they can sing a song or show a song that they're producing or something. It's just a way, because there's a lot of talented artists and stuff and streamers who hang out in my channel anyway. So it's nice to sort of just give some back. And so sometimes there's not like a lot of people up. And then so sometimes chat's like, you got to rap now, Mike, you got to do it. And then so I'm like, okay, here we go. And it's like hip hop, hippie to the hippie hoppy. And it's just like, it's stupid. It's awful. It's exactly like when you look at me, you don't see hip hop, right? Like this is not hip hop face. It's not like any part of this is not hip hop. So it's, yeah,
I could see you as a Beastie Boy, without offending the still living Beastie Boys, but
no, that's offensive to the living Beastie Boys. Yeah, there's no Beastie in here, son.
R.I.P. MCA.
Yeah, R.I.P.
Yeah, I mean, so like I said, you've gone over 300 episodes. My thing is, me and the guys started technically. It wasn't a podcast, but 13, 14 years ago now, we three of us went to broadcasting school. Jeremy didn't, but he still joined the show and whatnot. And we did a little thing on Stickum back in the day. That kind of ages me. I don't know if you remember Stickum. It was
that was before me. That was before me.
In 2007, it was like, you know, it actually got in trouble for some other things, but you could go in, you could
all those websites did, right? All those websites did, man. I mean, even AOL had that shit.
You can't give a webcam and a computer and a chat room to a 13-year-old person and not expect bad things to happen. So us and our radio show we recorded in like an actual studio. It was real nice. But, you know, due to various factors, you know, back then we didn't have Zoom, we didn't have video conferencing, so we moved away. We couldn't do it remotely. As soon as the pandemic hit last year, you know, I eventually reached out to the guys. They're like, let's do this, you know, let's get it back up. But I mean, what advice would you have? You know, you're over 300 episodes in. What advice would you have for, you know, podcasters out there? Because I see them talking in like podcast movement and some of the podcast groups on Facebook saying, you know, guys, I'm feeling kind of uninspired. You know, I don't feel the downloads. I don't feel the love. Like, I mean, do you have any advice or anything? Not to put you on the spot, but like, you know, to tell people.
Honestly, it's just keep doing it and do it consistently. Like the consistency and just consistency alone will get you a lot of places. Just by being there. It will get, you know, like you'll just by putting out content all the time. And if you really love what you do, you're going to get better at it. So I would say to somebody, if they've been pumping 5 years into making their podcast and they haven't done anything like, you know, upgrade the sound quality, or, you know, they're releasing it whenever they feel like it. And they're just sort of, you know, like, and you've been doing it for 5 years, but you sometimes you miss a week or two or a month, you know, and, you know, sometimes the audio is not as great as it could be. And, you know, like if you're looking at it like that and you're not feeling the love, well, it's because you fucking suck and you should probably stop because, well, no, and for real, because it's like, if you can't recognize that, you know, like if you can't recognize and see and mark your growth, if you're putting your time and effort and passion into something and you can't see the growth over a good amount of time, then maybe that's not for you. Now, you know, for some people, they keep going for years and years and years and years, and like 20 years in, hey, they did it and they stumbled upon the thing that got them to the next level, you know. But I don't have that kind of time. And again, like you heard from me, the way I started this fucking podcast was just me and my friends just talking about our genitals on mics. So it's like, I didn't take it seriously. And then when I did finally really see it grow, and I was like, whoa, I'm getting good at this. Like I'm getting better at this. Like my communication skills, like outside of the podcast, my communication skills was insane, like getting much better. I wouldn't say insanely better because my communication skills still suck ass, but they're so much better than they were. And so my advice is be consistent and improve and make sure that you're improving. And even if it's improving by 1% each episode, improve that shit. A lot of times people who are starting podcasts or starting Twitch streams, they get really overwhelmed by the amount of when they find out how much work goes into it. And then they have this vision in their head. It's like, I got this vision in my head. It has to be perfect and it has to do it like this. I can't start it. Or, you know, they're disappointed because it's not what they thought it would be. It doesn't matter. You got to ignore that shit. You got to be like, because you're going to suck. When you first start anything, you suck, right? Like when I first started playing guitar, I was not good. I sucked. I was terrible. It's like my son. He's starting to play piano. He's terrible at it, but he's learning. I fucking love him, and he's a good kid, and he's really smart, and he's good at it, but he's just starting something. So he sucks, and that's okay. It's okay to suck. But what's not okay is to continue to pour time and effort and money into something and not try to improve on it. And so you got to go slow. You can't overwhelm yourself with trying to like reach the top. And if things aren't going your way within 2 months, then you stop. And that's what you see at Twitch all the time. Podcasting, I've seen people just go for years and years. And it's just like, wow, why are you still paying for hosting? Like I don't even understand why you're still. So it's Yeah, I'm not trying to discourage anybody either, but if that sounds like you, if someone listening to this episode, if that sounds like you're the person who just sort of scatterbrained about shit and just puts it out whenever they feel like it, and it's, you've been dumping hours into this and years into this thing, and it's not showing you any return. It's like, it's time to rethink it. It's time to reassess. It's time to focus. It's like, what are you trying to do with this? Where are you trying to go with this? And really think about it. If you're really serious about this shit, you really sit down and you think about where it's going to go. And over these last 7 years, I've had a lot of time to think about it. And it's been really cool because it's something that's the direction of the show has always been something that's revealed itself as the show has progressed. There's eras of the show, which I'm so that is so cool to me to know that there's the San Diego years, and then there's the van lifing era, and then there's the Ohio era, and then there's like the fucking pandemic era, So like there's different eras of the show, which I absolutely just think is amazing because it's this living, running record of my life and where I was, because the show is I do make it personal, and I do treat it almost as like an audio diary, and not with my guests. I mean, sometimes with my guests, but most of the time, if I'm doing like a intro and outro, if I have something to say, I'll stick it in at the end where I know that most people don't even get to, because sometimes the shit I say at the end of shows is a little wild. So, whatever. Sometimes I get done with it and I'm just like, why did you even say that? Fuck it. I'm too lazy to go back and fucking change it. I'm just going to send it up. And then you hear about it like, in a couple weeks and someone's mad, but whatever. It's okay. It's okay to make people mad because it makes them think. But yeah, I mean, I know that's a long-winded ass thing, but it's what I've found that works is just be consistent and improve as you go. And don't think it has to be perfect when you first start. Just do it. Just fucking do it. Like when you listen to the beginning episodes of like JRE or WTF or even Adam Carolla, Adam Carolla was different. Adam Carolla went into it with fucking some flair. But like you listen to early JRE shows, Joe Rogan's podcast is inarguably like the biggest and most impactful podcast in the world right now. And he started recording audio and video on a shitty laptop with him and fucking his buddy just smoking weed and answering questions off of Ustream. So it was like you got to think about where these people came from and just know that it wasn't perfect. And even though it's Joe Rogan, Joe Rogan didn't know what the hell he was doing either at the beginning. And it's just something that sort of developed over time. And that's okay. It's just start. And if you really care about it and you really want to do it, just fucking start. And that's anything, right? That's anything. If you want to play guitar, just start. You're going to suck. Yeah. So what? You're going to suck so bad. And it's going to be terrible to listen to. And your family's going to hate you. And that's okay because it's not for them. You're learning for yourself, and they can go fuck themselves because you're sitting here and you're doing it and you're starting. And that's what matters. You start and you improve, and those incremental improvements that you can see and engage gives you the inspiration to keep moving forward. And anybody who's ever learned a hard skill like music or art or engineering or anything that's difficult, they know that you had to start somewhere and you weren't great. But you saw yourself get better, and those little markers just push you towards the next marker, and you're just like, wow, I can do that. What else can I do? And so it's just getting started and being consistent, and really that's about it.
That's great to hear because we definitely suck.
Speak for yourself.
I was going to say thanks for letting Mike know that him sucking was okay, but you're both named Mike. I was trying to figure out how to make sure he knew I was talking to you.
We got different initials at the end of the name.
Yeah, just.
How much research do you do before you interview your guests? Is that?
Yeah, I saw that. That's Mighty. Yeah.
Is Mighty? Is that for me or for the gentleman here for the usual saints here?
I would assume it's for both of us. I mean, on my end, we've had
I'd love to hear that from you.
Yeah, I mean, we had like 5-6 guests so far, Jeremy, since we started back up. We had a state representative first, so I kind of knew her on a not a personal level. I met her a few times, and I knew what she was about. So I went, basically did some background just to make sure, see what bills she was sponsoring, that kind of thing. And she's really cool and easy to talk to, so that was awesome. The next one was a cosplayer, Leaping Liz. And she was awesome. Like, I did background just looking at her costume, seeing what she was about, checking out her Twitch. And we talked for 2 hours. Like, that was great. The next one was George Hardy. That's probably the one I've done the most background on. He's an actor. He's been in like Troll 2, what else? Best Worst Movie.
That's the one I listened to. You guys.
Yeah. So I watched 5, 6, 7 of his movies, so, that's an hour and a half, 2 hours each one sometimes.
By the way, that dude, it sounded like he couldn't wait to be interviewed.
Oh no, he's so great.
Awesome.
Like, yeah.
No, I wasn't shit talking. He just
no, I get it.
I'm waiting for some people to call me and I'm ready to talk. I love it.
I mean, it's because he's almost hitting like a renaissance in his career, because he didn't act for 17 years between when Troll 2 came out and his next film in 2007. So like, now he's 14 years later, now he's getting like 3 or 4 movies released in the past year. So people are seeing him again. Yeah, listen, I don't think even George would deny most of them are B movies, maybe at best. But
if you're, I was gonna say that's giving him some credit.
But that's part of the fun, and people enjoy that shit, So we love talking to him. But with you, Mike, like I said, I watched that first ep. Then I caught one of your new eps on Twitch. Yeah, hey, I had to see where you started. I wanted to talk about it.
I do not. I discourage most everyone to never go into the beginning. Never. And those are like the first episode is like the most downloaded episode of all. So it's like awful.
What about you? What about you with the interview for the guests? I mean, obviously you're pretty into music, so especially if you have a music guest, I don't think I would want to guess that it's not much of a hindrance for you. It's almost something you look forward to, probably. I'm just speaking of what I think.
Well, yeah. Well, and I would assume for you too. I mean, I assume that you enjoy, trying, researching and like, because that for me, research is so much fun. Like that's like what I've found, the thing that I despise the most about podcasting, and the thing that I just like, I can't even, like, it's okay once I'm into it, but once I get started, but the thing that I can't stand the most is writing proposals to companies, asking them for money. It's like the worst part of this job is trying to get paid for it. and luckily I've been having some luck. And by the way, I would actually want to tell you guys, because this could benefit you. And this is like, they do sponsor my podcast, just for transparency's sake. But podcorn.com is an amazing website that I just started using for the last for a month now. And Podcorn, they basically remove like the mystery and frustration out of finding a sponsor for your podcast. It's like it's like a network of sponsors who are there on this platform just to find podcasts to advertise on. And so even if you're a smaller podcast like me, or even
you could say like us, it's okay. We're smaller than you.
Well, no, I mean, it's fine. Yeah, like us, we're smaller podcasts. So, but there's still room on there for us, and that's what's awesome about it is that, and they give you like price guides and shit. Like, so they tell you what to ask for, and like they give you. So it completely changed the way I think about how I do it. It's just taking the time to write a proposal. It takes some time, and as it should, you're asking a company to invest in your show, and in exchange, you're offering up your audience. So, I mean, it's been pretty cool. But I personally, getting back to the original question here, I had to throw that.
It's fine. I want to touch back on that afterwards, but go ahead and touch on Mighty's question. Go ahead.
Sure. How much research do I do? Well, it depends. It depends on who it is, because sometimes musicians come on spectrums, and sometimes musicians are new to the game, so there's not a lot on them. So it's really, you're going off instinct. I'm a musician. I've been a musician for the last 20 some years. So I'm pretty well versed on how things operate. So I can talk to most anybody about any aspect of the music business without really even having to do any research on them and be able to connect on that. So that's not the part that's hard. It's like, so when I'm talking to newer artists who are sort of starting to break and they're trying to get a name out there, there's not a lot of information about them. You know, I'll go through their Facebook or now it's like their TikTok and their Instagrams and shit. No, kids hate Facebook, by the way. Like, I don't know if you know this, but
we both have kids. We know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
and I hate us. So
I've seen it, you know, like, listen, I haven't made a TikTok yet. I probably should before someone, not that anyone wants this, our name, but I made a Snapchat. I just don't use it. You know what I mean? So like, right. I almost want to, I just don't have any money. Like I want to hire a social media manager just because I don't know, like there's so much I want to post every day. Like you did so good just promoting our podcast that we are going to have you on as an interview. And I was like, this guy's great. I wish this is just something I have to learn and do. You have to be on top of it. Mm-hmm. So like even today, I was out shopping with the family and I'm like, shit, I gotta be home in like 30 minutes. So
same thing. I swear to God, we're at the Myers and I was just like, all right, come on, step it up. Let's go. We have to buy a printer. Great. Let's get the fucking printer. Let's go. Oh, you want a charcuterie board? Perfect. Let's go get some nice cheeses. Let's do it. Let's out. We gotta go.
You can tell this guy's making money. He's talking about charcuterie boards.
No, that's no. Don't get me fucking twisted, man. We're shopping at the Myers with part of the what do you call it? The thing that's helping people, the bailout. Part of the bailout is that the kids get a little EBT card. So my son's like big dick on campus, like dinner's on me tonight. Dinner's on me. So he's out there swiping up. So we indulged on the cheese board, which sounds so awful of me to even say. It's like not Jonathan Winters, John Waters. His joke about being young in Baltimore and being on food stamps and then going through and buying lobsters and steaks. He's like, you want to piss off people? Go buy lobster and steak with food stamps. See the kind of look you get. No, and by the way, I have much respect to people who fucking, who need that stuff. We need that stuff. Me and my family need. Okay, we're moving the fuck on. I'm just, this is ridiculous. What were we talking about? Where were we?
We were talking about the interviewing thing, but I think we both answered that pretty good. But unless you want to add anything else.
Oh, well, I'm long-winded, so I can always add more.
Well, I wanted to touch on the Podcorn thing. Sure, I actually did. I did. Sign up for that recently. But great. As soon as I got on it, because I didn't do any I didn't go into the FAQs or I didn't go into like the anything like the about us anything. So I'm signed up, but I have no fucking clue what I'm doing. And it's like, write a proposal. I'm like,
that's pretty obvious, Mike.
Yeah, thanks, Jeremy.
No problem. Here to help.
So that's what I mean. That, like you said, it's like it's another learning curve. It's something you have to put time into, and I agree. I totally agree. I don't expect anyone to just throw money at us. But at the same time, I would love to be able to put some ads in our podcast. That I don't have to rely on Anchor to try to somehow get for me. You know what I mean? So I mean, what's that like for you? I mean, without going too far into it, I guess because we don't want to bore anyone. If it is boring, I don't know, but you're a pretty entertaining guy. Shut the fuck up, Jeremy. Jeremy's the one who comes in. I don't know if you've noticed. Yeah, he comes in with these little witty things, or he likes to drop insults on me. We've known each other a long time, so that's fine. The other guys, the other guys are funnier.
Oh, the other guys. I assume that Jeremy wasn't some vagrant you just met outside the Home Depot, and you're like, "Hey, you want to be on a podcast and insult me?" And you guys had a history here.
That's more Vinny.
That's Vinny. We met him 2 weeks ago.
It's me and Saint. Saint's the guy who's in the Bering Sea right now. He's working on a fishing boat. Me and him kind of started it, and he's the one who. Circling back around just to say the consistency thing, he's the one who forces, basically puts that in my mind and definitely the other guys, but I'm the one who kind of produces it, puts it out. Like, you got to put it out at least once a week. If you do extra episodes, fine, whatever. But like Sunday at 10 p.m. for me is that time. I have the podcast release, the YouTube release, do one episode a week. You know, we have a few extras, so we might do more than one a week at the moment, but we have a few interviews set up. But that's what it's about. Like you said, if you take time off, you know, people will forget about you, you know, and they might subscribe to you and see your podcast, or, you know, even your YouTube pop off like a month down the line, 2 months down the line, but then maybe they don't want to put the time in to listen again. So if they're listening every week, they can rely on that schedule, like, you know, like a TV show or a radio show. I'm a big Stern fan, and I know every day, you know, that he actually goes and actually does a broadcast for a change. You know, he does 3 days a week. So when he does, I know I can listen to that as soon as I 7 to 10 or 7 to 11, whatever. Cool. But consistency is definitely key, like you said. I'm long-winded too. I just wanted to touch on that.
No. It's a great point, though. I mean, like, you know, again, if I think that's great. It's like it's Sunday at 10 o'clock. I know this is what's happening, and this is what's happening. And no matter what, I have to do this. That's how it's been. I used to do one a week as well, which really was awesome. I love doing one a week. What I noticed is because when I came to Twitch, I was doing like live looping, and I was like doing the music thing and doing the interviews, and no one gave a shit about my live looping, but my interviews people liked, and that's fine because I suck at live looping. I'm not great at it. It's not something I've done a lot in my life. So I was just like, I just need more content to keep this fucking stream going. So, you know, I recognize that the interview section, the interview portions were better. And so I decided to make 2 guests a week. And I actually want to stream 3 times a week, but I don't want to do 3 guests a week, because booking 8 to 10 guests, because I'll do some off days, like some extra days. And we do music streams. Like last Sunday, we did a full band stream where I brought in my electric drum set and we were fucking jamming. It was amazing. I had such a great time. And thank you so much for everyone who came. But the shit. Where were you, Mike? Come on, you long-winded bastard. What were you saying?
We're talking about consistency. You were talking about 2 or 3 shows a week. Yes.
Oh yeah. I don't. So yeah. I used to do once a week. And that was great for my schedule. And that was when it was just audio. But now I have 2 a week. And at the beginning of the Twitch thing, I was like, you know, I'm going to keep the 1 a week. Every time I started like putting more extra shows, it kind of like watered down my numbers, and that gave me anxiety. And like, cause numbers, it's so ridiculous. But you know, I went from getting like 4,000 downloads per episode to, you know, we watered it down. Now each episode's getting like, one episode would get like 1,500 downloads, and the next one get like, you know, 2,000 downloads. And that just drove me nuts, because I'm just like, oh God, it's awful. But then I just realized if I release 1 a week, and I'm doing 2 a week, by the time it's never going to catch up. And we talk a lot about current events on my show. And so by the time people are going to hear it, you know, like we'll have a new president, you know? So it's like, it was just, for me, it turned into like, I'm going to have to release 2 audio a week with the recording 2 a week. And they're like a month away from each other as well still. So I'm still like a month behind the new releases. So I'm sort of running into this problem where it's like, how do I make all the content current so people can listen to it? And there's nothing. So I've just come to the conclusion that I'm just going to do the Twitch thing. That's where, if you want a current conversation, come to fucking Twitch, come be a part of the conversation, come subscribe to my channel, come have fun with the guests. Because I get to talk to people like Beyonce's guitarist, or, you know, people who work directly with Michael Jackson. And like, you know, I've talked to amazing Grammy award-winning multi-platinum producers, you know, so like you get to be a part of that conversation. You get to ask questions directly to these industry professionals. I think that's amazing. And I encourage people to come to the live stream if you want that current conversation. So I'm just sort of like, well, this is how it is. All my conversations are like a month old when they come to audio. And the thing about the audio is it has the most pull on it. So like I get all the downloads on the audio, you know, I'll get like, you know, anywhere from 15 to 20 people in my stream at a time, which isn't huge numbers or anything compared to, the huge streamers or even the e-girls. They just, the e-girls are amazing because they can just have a phone and a pair of boobs and they're good to go. And they're making like $20,000 to $100,000 a month on subscriptions.
For a few $1,000s, Mike, you can go fix that problem and get yourself a pair of boobs. I mean,
no, bro, I already got me in boobs. Look at that. I can put them in a push-up bra. It's fucking gross. I'm a fat.
It's funny. We were having that exact conversation before we went live of, hey, we did 2 interviews this week and we're doing this one. And it's like, if we wait to put them out for a week, it's a month away before we're talking about anything current again. What the hell? And so we're debating throwing out an extra episode or what?
Right. But then here's the other thing is that, you guys are already having trouble with scheduling everybody to be there. And I guess you got to think about, for me, the way I thought about it was like, I don't mind if I recorded like 3 in a week and, that's 3 weeks of content in my head that I don't have to worry about fucking go out and finding guests and doing all that. And so when it was just audio, I was just like, I'll just, book 3 in a week or 4 in a week or, 2 in 1 week and 2 the next week. And then basically I have the rest of the month off. All I'm doing is editing and I only have 1 thing a week. So for me, it was great. But now that I'm constantly booking, I'm constantly have new content. I constantly have to make new flyers for new streams, for new podcast episodes. And I'm making thumbnails for my YouTubes and it's completely turned into a pretty much full-time job. And I was going
to ask, no, I didn't mean to cut you off. Is this your full-time job? Or, I mean, I need to get in personal life or anything, but like, do you have, go ahead.
Right now. Yeah. This is what I do. Because before the pandemic, I was a full-time musician. And well, we all know what happened there. So this is what I do. And the month of March is the first month that I've like made money, like really made some, not great money. Okay. Not even, not even $1,000, but it's the first month that where we were able to, the show is like, not losing money because this has just been a money pit and it's not a horrible money pit. I mean, hosting the podcast and then the website is really, before Twitch was really the only cost I had. So there was like $40 or something a month, which is still a lot of money for a poor ass musician. And that's a monthly bill for something that's not making anything for years. And my wife has been telling me, is like, you need to find sponsors. She's super supportive, but it's like, bro, what are you doing? And so in this last year, since the beginning of the year, I mean, since the Twitch stream, the show has started to become profitable, but the actual audio side is now just now starting to make money. I got 2 new sponsors on the show, Podcorn being one of them. And then I'm still finalizing the other one, so I'm not going to give them any freebies. So Podcorn is legit. Podcorn is legit. I got to say, Podcorn is legit. But all
right, that's enough, Mike. That's enough.
Podcorn. We speak EnglishGood.com. Podcorn.com.
That's funny. I wanted to touch on a little bit because you have a bit more experience. Do you find that a lot of your base is like local to where you are, like whether it was San Diego or you mentioned Ohio? I don't know where you're at right now, but do you find like a lot of your listenership is more localized, or do you find it's spread out?
It's everywhere. When I was in San Diego, like I do have some listeners in San Diego that are pretty consistent. And I have found that in Ohio, I'm finding, which is really surprising, that Ohio is a local following here as well. But mostly my show is pretty everywhere. It's like, like in bigger markets like Los Angeles, San Francisco, New York, they're there. It's rarely in rural areas. I'm not seeing, like, I don't know, bumfuck Kentucky, you know, on
I love bumfuck Kentucky. It's a great place to visit.
Yeah, it's a great place to fuck bum. But so I did. Yeah, I do notice a localized thing here, and which did actually prompt me to think like, hey, well, maybe I can get some local sponsors here. But there's nothing worse than calling up a local sponsor, a local small business, like, hey, I got this podcast. You want to give me money? And it's nothing worse than just asking for money. I hate it, but it's if you want anything, you got to ask for it. Like people aren't just going to be like, here you go, here's some money. You know, like it just doesn't work like that. Well, at least not for me. I don't know. For some people it works like that, but not for me. It's not how it works. Yeah. Did that answer the question? I forgot what
I think so. We were talking about locality and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Not sure what the question was.
No, it was if my audience was local or not. And no, not, I mean, they are, but not. You know what was interesting was when I was moving from Southern California, I lived in San Diego, 3 blocks from the beach in OB. I love California. I grew up in Toledo, Ohio. I'm currently in Toledo, Ohio, by the way. And I grew up here. And then, and if you know anything about the Midwest, it's just this monocloud of flat land and fat people. And no offense, Jeremy, I'm fat too. So that's
the best thing I've heard today.
And but it was this. It's just a meat and cheese and bread factory over here. You know, so it's like going out to California, seeing all the new colors, mountains, oceans, and just living that life out there. I fucking love it. It's just the exact opposite of what this place is. You know, it's the exact opposite. People think outside of fucking, you know, their meat and cheese and fucking bread. So it was just, for me, it was a really hard transition coming back. And I thought that I wasn't going to be able to find work because San Diego is a destination. Nobody's coming to Toledo to hang out. No one fucking cares about Toledo. Like, if people know about Toledo, it's like, oh, yeah, I drove through there once going to a real city. You know, like, it's not a port of call. No one's calling here. So it was funny because Trevor Noah made that one joke. It's like, if you're going to bomb anywhere, bomb Toledo, Ohio. He's talking to terrorists about bombing the city. And I'm just like, I live here now, but our name. Woo, yeah, Toledo, woo. So I thought when I came from San Diego, you know, because I'm talking to fucking musicians over there. San Diego houses so many amazing, incredible musicians. I can't talk good enough about the music scene out there. I love it. I had so much fun, and it really turned into something beautiful before the pandemic struck and before I left. It was really cool. So coming back here, I thought I was going to like just wither and dry up on the vine and be like, you know, not find work, and I'll have to work at a factory because that's all that's around here is factory work and fucking, you know, service industry. And I just thought I was going to, and I thought my podcast was going to suffer. Not only did I find work here, but like my podcast has tripled in size by in the works of coming here. I don't know why. I don't know how. You're such a liability, Mike. I am a liability.
I can't figure out which one she was talking to.
Yeah, which Mike? Which Mike, Rita?
I could be considered one for the podcast. I don't know.
I'm a liability too. Come on. But yeah, coming here did nothing but like create just the thing about coming back here to Toledo. It grew my podcast. I was able to work. My wife was able to work at this amazing theater up in Michigan, working under Jeff Daniels. And I don't know if you guys know who Jeff Daniels is, but he's the not Jim Carrey in Dumb and Dumber. So he's the other guy.
I was going to say the actor. Like you're talking about someone else. Okay.
No. Jeff Daniels, the actor, the award-winning actor.
Man. Newsroom.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So he owns a theater up in Chelsea, Michigan called the Purple Rose Theater. And my wife was working as an understudy there, and she was getting real close, and she became family over there. And, so like all these really beautiful things happened when I came back here, and that was just, you know, like it was just one of those things where I expected the worst, but really cool things happened, and we came at a time when my family needed us, and it was great to be able to help them with that, all the stuff that was happening at the time. So yeah, I'm running my mouth. Yes.
I know talking about you.
Yeah. Well, that's my wife, by the way. Raina is my wife.
Oh, hey, Raina.
She's also my mod on my show, or my moderator. And so so now my wife is a part of these conversations now too. So it's not just random strangers. It's like my wife has a say in my podcast as well now. So that's fun.
I mean, I think, that's probably a good thing. Sometimes it needs to be able to rein you in, maybe. I mean, I know I have a lot of grandiose ideas for what I want to do. I'm here spending money I don't have. I bought a Mac. I got a ring light. I'm trying to get Jeremy to get a ring light. Look at his fucking picture. But
nobody wants to see me. Nobody wants to see me. Nobody wants to see you either. We've tried to get you to turn it off, but whatever.
They're pretty affordable now, Jeremy. I think it would shine a new light on you.
Dad joke.
He is a dad.
I'm 7-year-old.
Mike, what about merch? Obviously, you're wearing your hat.
Bro, I've been today. Me and my wife were talking about this because one of my sponsors is motorstudios.com, who is this. They make patches and apparel. They have like a Wu-Tang patch and all kinds of funny. It's a funny patches. It like you can get Biggie and they'll make memes, like meme patches and stuff. So they're awesome. I love it, and it's ran by one of my very dear close. Actually, the co-host, the old co-host of the show, the person I started this show with. He owns the company and he also sponsors the show. It provides patches and stuff. So I have somebody who makes custom patches. Like I could show you something. Actually, this will be a good time to just whip it out. Actually, so.
Oh, hey, we're not that kind of podcast.
Hey,
that's what happened to Stickum. Stop that shit.
So this is it's weird because of the light and stuff, but you can kind of see.
Yes.
So this is my We Speak English Good patch. This is like a 2x2 like patch. It's nice, good quality. So he sends me the patches and we play games and I give this shit away. But my wife also bought a Cricut machine. Have you ever heard of a Cricut machine? It's like it's basically a glorified printer for like iron-on stuff. It's totally cool. Like if your wife or you or anybody you know is crafty, they're gonna definitely know what a Cricut is. But it's dope. So I can actually make my own merch. And then this was made because he's an embroiderer. So this was made by Moded. And then I just got these in today, which this is an emote of mine, which is Ric Flair. You can't really see him. That's the name by himself right there. Right. Now, and then this thing right here, which is going to be impossible to see as well.
I see it a little bit.
Yeah, that's it's cool. Fucked up, but anyways. So I'm sorry, I'm so excited about these stickers because they were super.
That's cool, man.
and they came on time. That's the other thing. So my sponsor likes to just send me shit whenever he feels like. So that nothing against him. That's just the way he works. He doesn't do it with his customers, by the way. Just people he sponsors.
Go check out my sponsor and former co-host. If you order something, you probably get it next year. Maybe we'll see when he feels like making it.
You're exactly right because I ordered shit last year in November. So yeah, it definitely was last year. San Diego live music scene versus Ohio live music scene. Observations. Let me finish this and we'll get to you, Mr. Coolio. Thank you so much, Mr. Coolio, for being here. It's good to see you.
That's totally a you question because I've been to San Diego once and wasn't really involved in the music scene. So that's definitely for you. Never been to Ohio. I'm a Steelers fan behind me. See what? There I am.
Hey, watch out. Jason Dusty. So I'm actually trying to decide whether or not I'm going to do a thing like Threadless. Have you ever heard of Threadless? It's pretty cool. So I'm considering
it's a clothing thing, but
it is. So What I want to do is either make my own stuff or do a hybrid model of it and have like an online store on my website and then have a link to my Threadless or something, just because making each product and shipping it, it takes time, and it's just, time is of the essence. So, we have masks too. I have like a WSEG mask that I can make too. So that I'm going to plan on making like a online store on my website and then have like a Threadless thing. Now, Threadless is cool because it's basically you just slap on a design, you create your own design, and you put it on their shirts. And it's basically they give you a price. So like, here's the price on how much you pay. And then you can set the price on how much you want people to pay. And then so all you're doing is paying for what they're asking. Anything you ask for over that is profit. And you don't have to store clothes. You're not making anything. They take care of all the shipping, all the billing, all that shit. So they handle everything. All you do is slap your fucking designs on it and just go, which is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And like, it's stupid that I haven't done that at least, because I'm still like, I'm going to charge like $8 for a little tiny patch. And then of course I have to wait for it a year for it. And then these stickers are fun, but who's going to buy some Ric Flair stickers? So those are just giveaways. So the idea that there's this company out there that just sort of manufactures, houses it, warehouses it and ships it, and then takes out the proper taxes and does, and then sends you the leftover, the money that's left. I love those services. And that's why I love Podcorn, because they take 10% out of each thing, but they do so much for you. Like there's a service there. So I don't mind them taking 10%. I don't mind Threadless. They have to house it. They have to fucking ship it. They do everything. So I don't mind that they're taking money out of it. So yeah, those are what I'm looking at right now. Those are two options that I'm considering, and I'm probably going to do Threadless just to get something started. And then as I get my merch up that I make, I'll probably do that.
Do you feel like with the merch you already have that, have you been successful on the level that you're producing it? Have you met your expectations with it or no?
I haven't sold one thing. I've been giving it all away. I've been giving it all away for prizes. That's why I got these stickers, because for $23 on Amazon, I got 100 and some stickers of my logo and my fucking and Ric Flair, which is an emote that I made. That's a popular emote on my channel. People use it a lot because why wouldn't you? It's fucking the Nature Boy. So I got these
16-time world champion.
Damn right. Woo! These stickers are my giveaways, and then for my patches, I'm going to probably start having to charge and not give them away, and then So, God damn it, I keep on forgetting the questions.
We were just talking about merch. I was just seeing if it had, but you already said you haven't really sold any. But I mean,
I haven't sold any.
Do you have your fans or your listeners sending in like pictures of them wearing your shit, or are you being represented?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So most of that happens on the Discord. So here's the fun little thing. I don't know if you guys have heard of Discord. I'm sure
I have a Discord. Again, haven't used it, but I have it.
Discord is pretty cool. It's pretty overwhelming at first, especially coming in as an elder millennial. But it's just a cool way to share and create communities and sort of give your community a place to go and hang out and post cool things. And I'll get people who get the patches in the mail and they'll send me cool little pictures and stuff. And most of the time, people who are on my Discord are pretty, they don't want their identity talked about. And I also have a P.O. box and stuff. So I've gotten mail, like real mail, which is amazing. Actually, right here. I got a piece of mail I thought that was just beautiful, and I was able to read that. And so, people definitely are representing. Sometimes they put it on social media, and so it's fun. It's fun to see people doing all that shit. But I don't care if they do or not. It's not like it's not like in the note, because I write like a handwritten letter in it too. And it's not like in the letter, I'm just like, now fucking, you better share this on Facebook, motherfucker. Tag me. Remember who gave you that patch. Don't you forget.
Yeah. Speaking of forgetting, did we cover Mr. Coolio's question?
Yeah,
totally.
No, we did not. And that's where I was going.
I got you.
Mr. Coolio, so the San Diego live music scene versus Ohio live music scene. So what I can tell you is that San Diego is a considerably bigger city. And again, there are a port of call. People vacation in San Diego. People go to spring break in San Diego, which I don't know why. It's awful. Spring break is terrible in San Diego. It's like when spring break is happening, the water's still freezing cold, and there's usually like the cloud covering is still like the marine layer is still ridiculous in the beach areas in San Diego. So people are always disappointed in coming to spring break in San Diego because it's cold and fucking they're like, where's the sun? And it's like, well, you got a couple months until it comes back. So you go inland where you can go sweat your balls off and where there's no ocean and it's sunny as shit. You know, like you go 10 minutes inland and it's like the sun breaks and you are in Southern California, but not at the beach. So San Diego is a much bigger market, and Ohio, at least now, Ohio music scene, the state itself has a really healthy music scene. The city of Toledo music scene is not so much on the original side as it is as people who are just playing for at bars. They're just playing covers. In Toledo, there's not really a whole lot of venues that are for original music, and it's simply because original music is not that profitable, especially in a city that, you know, people like to go see music, and there are live music venues where people can go see original music, but it's just not that prevalent. It's not that treasured, you know. I mean, there is a certain group of people, but the city is so small. I mean, that it's really hard. It's really hard to have an original venue and keep it packed, keep it coming, keep it, you know, like it's a tough market. But if you have a bar and you have a stage and you sell food and you just need a band to keep people drinking and keep people eating or whatever the fuck, that you could throw a rock and that's everywhere. Which is where I live. I love my original projects, but that's not paying the bills. So that was amazing to me. But what sucks is that it's just that, you know, it's just, if you want to work, cool. If you want to play originals, go to fucking California, bitch, you know, like get out, because it's not happening here. Or go to Columbus or Cleveland or Cincinnati. All those places have pretty healthy music scenes that where they have musicians who give a fuck, and you know, now that the pandemic has sort of come and just leveled everything, you know, it's starting to come back. The thing about Ohio was last year, fucking the hippies were partying all summer long. They were doing festivals all summer long, and they did not stop. They didn't give a fuck, and they're going to do it again this summer. Ohio rides, son. Ohio rides. When my California friends are like, we're still in the purple, I'm like, bitch, I've been going to the gym without a mask for months. It's like Ohio does not give a fuck. Everyone talks about Florida and Texas, but they forget that Ohio is basically the South. Once you go from Ohio to Kentucky, you are in the South. So Southern Ohio, you got people talking like this, you know, like we got mountain people down there. But the hippies didn't give a shit. They went all summer. They were having festivals, and they did no social distancing, maybe masks, but they're all high on drugs. So they were all. They said there was no super spreader events, but how the fuck do they know? They don't know. They're high on drugs, fucking just partying all night, and then, you know, 2 weeks later, fucking, they're just like, why am I sick? And they don't put two and two together because they're too high to do that. So what I would say, San Diego live music scene compared to versus Ohio, it's kind of hard to compare a whole state to just one city. But if I would have to pick one, I would definitely pick the Ohio music scene, because I just feel like there's just a sense of community in it that I haven't found anywhere else. Not in Toledo. Not in Toledo, but I've talked to a lot of people from different cities in Ohio. It's just what I do. It's just sort of a way to elbow myself onto a scene, the podcast, and everybody I talk to in all these different markets in the state are just, oh man, we love our music scene. They're super supportive, and it's true, especially the hippie scene. The hippie scene, there's like a cool fucking like bluegrass scene in Ohio. There's definitely like metal. There's always been like a cool metal scene that came out of Ohio and stuff. So it comparatively, I mean, the thing about San Diego though is that you had so many varieties to choose from. You have so much to do. There's so many different little communities around the county and the city where you can go to OB and you can go find reggae. You can go to North Park and you can find like an indie band, or you can anything from indie to salsa, like you can go to another part of the city and downtown and you go clubbing and you can find, all the bar bands but there's so many venues good venue. Like the Casbah is an amazing venue that I absolutely love. Winston's, which sadly is closed for good. This institution in San Diego, I loved it. I live right down the street from it. So San Diego itself offered such a variety of cool music, of original music, and it bred original music too. Like there was places to play. So if you're trying to compare cities, San Diego to Toledo, San Diego has it. But if you're trying to compare it to a whole state, like written, then I would say Ohio kind of has just more of a hometown sort of like just DIY sort of feel to it. It's rowdy. It's rowdy here. It's like people who grow up on the West Coast in the sunshine all the time, permanently fucking sunbaked and hot tubbed, like they're just, there is something that's missing when your environment isn't trying to kill you at least 6 months out of a year. You know what I mean? Like if you don't have to go outside and dig your car out of the snow, or if you have to like trudge through the snow sometimes the power goes out and it's cold at night and it's like, there's just, it's hardcore living. And I just feel like it builds a certain amount of character out here. So like when you live in this state, like you really appreciate spring, you really appreciate summer, and you fucking really appreciate fall. And then everybody hates winter because it's fucking awful. Who wants to be cold? It's so stupid.
I don't know what you're talking about with the ocean being warm in San Diego. When I visited for Comic-Con in 2012, man, it was July. And I got to tell you, that water was cold as shit compared to the Atlantic.
Yeah, no. I'm saying, but like it's warm. It's warm. The environment's warm. The ocean doesn't get warm until like October. Like October is like the heart of summer in San Diego. Like September and October is like it's just hot as balls even at the beach. So you just went in the wrong month.
I had to go in the Pacific to say I swam in the Pacific, but I'm afraid of a great white shark coming in and eating me. So I literally went in, got my dip, went under, put my head under the water. I'm in the Pacific. I left. Do you know that we were staying in San Ysidro when we were there? That was a little crazy.
Oh my God. You're in San Ysidro? Why the border?
Yeah, it was cheaper because back then I didn't have any money to spend in a hotel. Me and Saint went, and so instead of staying in San Diego, we stayed there. And I got there a day before him, so I'm like, never been to the West Coast. Let me go. I went literally to the Mexican border just to say I could see it. I took a picture of it. I went to. Do you know the name of the most southwestern town in the United States? I don't know what the name of it is, but it's down that way. Okay,
it's San Ysidro, and then it goes to Tijuana into Mexico.
Okay, so I went there. That's where I went for the dip.
In IB in Imperial Beach.
That's okay. That's what it is. Okay, that's where I went. But yeah, that was cold.
No, it's cold. It's not warm at all until and then the further up the coast you go, it's the colder it gets. Like I don't know how those fools up in the bay are like trying to surf with their fucking like 3-inch wetsuit. Is like, what are you even trying to do, bro? Like it's not working for you.
How familiar are you with Cleveland? Because I want to ask if Cleveland sucks as bad as I've heard it does.
Cleveland sucks. Cleveland sucks. Cleveland sucks. Cleveland is way cooler than Toledo, and I like Cleveland. You can actually get decent food there, and the music scene is pretty decent. I mean, now it sucks because of what happened, but because of the pandemic. But it's definitely. I personally, the people I talk to out of it, they're all very proud of it, and they're all very proud of the scene. And so personally, I played there a few times, and the crowds have always been nice, and the people are very nice. I like Cleveland as a city. Like I've gone there I've gone to Cleveland specifically just to like hang out, and party several times, and I've seen so many cool shows there, and so personally, I love Cleveland as a music city, and they're not.
It does have the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, right?
Right, yeah. They're not particularly known as like a big rock city or anything, but they have the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But like especially during like the financial crisis in 2008, like all these Midwest cities sucked, and that's about the time that I left Ohio 2 years before that meltdown. And so every time I came back to visit over these last, however many years, in a span of 10 years, because it took about 10 years to kind of get back on our feet as an economy and everything, probably a little less. But in those first years, like all these businesses are shut down, so many homeless people. I mean, the music scene was just non-existent. And like the only people working in these areas were people who have been working and who knows everybody and who's been in it. And so it was a sad display, but I feel like there was a renaissance that took place after the 2008 financial crisis all over the country, because I got a chance to go around the country and see these scenes and talk to people. And even from the podcast, before the pandemic, all these, like, even these crappy, like Spokane, Washington, even crappy ass Spokane, Washington had a scene that people were excited about. Salt Lake City has a scene that people were excited to talk about. And they all have this sort of same story, is like, this is something that built in the last 10 years. So I kind of attributed it to that financial crisis, because out of the ashes rises the phoenix. And that whole mentality is that, when people face hard times, some of the best art in music and like when I think about the cool art and music that's come out of this pandemic and what's going to come out of it in the future, and because we're still not done with this thing, and we're still going to be facing like economic fallout, probably, like that's not even occurring to people right now, and we're talking about stimulus checks and shit like that. So there's all this money that's being printed, all that shit. I mean, the Roosters are going to come home, right? Is that how you say it? Roosters coming home? Roost?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Sure.
We're probably going to have to pay for it in some way, somehow. So out of all these hard times, I mean, when you look at like the Jews and, in a good way, I'm not trying to say the Jews, but like when you look at like
Myers Leonard, slow down there.
Look, I'm saying in a good thing. When you look at like how the Jews have been shit on all their, for their entire existence, out of each of these horrible events comes like just brilliant minds, insane talent, just unfounded, just incredible, just amazing things that sort of come out of these downtrodden people. And same with like African Americans, becoming these, these juggernauts in the sports industry and always in the academics, but never given the proper due. But it's just, I just feel like when a certain sect of people go through a hard time, and as a world, we've gone through this horrible and traumatic situation, things come out of it. People are inspired, because when you're in these moments of darkness, sometimes the only solace you can find is just plucking around on a guitar or writing it down on a piece of paper, and it's just, you can art and creativity is not only something that, you know, you give and you perform for people, but it's something that we get out of it ourselves. And it becomes this way of expression and therapy that we can't do with words, you know, like it's just, there's not enough words to in the English language to sort of explain the things. So people have to paint weird pictures or make crazy music, but it's just another way of expressing how you're feeling without being like, I'm sad today, you know? So it's, it's just when you got a whole bunch of people who are experiencing that together, you know, we're collectively going to create something beautiful, or we're just going to burn in the ashes.
Well, I think that's a good point. We kind of talked a little bit about that the other day when we talked to Michaela Lee about inclusivity and everything with Twitch, and maybe you've experienced it with your Twitch followers. You know, I bring up Twitch specifically because it seems to unite people a little bit more. You know, a lot of people who, you know, whether it's finding an online forum where they feel like they can relate, or someone that they can talk to easily, or musician interviews, or, you know, musicians, or, you know, just having fun and shooting the shit like, you know, you do on your show. I mean, I feel like that's a good thing, especially now with the pandemic and everyone like doing Zooms, or, you know, so we can't see each other in real life. We can't do a podcast in person, or we shouldn't right now, probably. but yeah, I mean, I think it's good. I think all that's good stuff you said. And by the way, Raina said I was staying in Mexico, not in San Diego when I was
no,
in San Isidro.
It was all Mexico at one time, so technically she's right. To what you just said, I would like to add that you're absolutely right. And just my experience personally of having connections with people outside of this house, because for the last year, that's pretty much all we talked to is just my wife and my family, you know? So it's like, it's been a huge source of relief and solace. And in those beginning days of the pandemic, and when we were like thinking about Twitch and we started sort of getting into it a little more, like there was just Joe Syracuse, who's a streamer who I absolutely love, but in those beginning days when he was first starting, like he would pop on, he'd be like, hey, I hope you guys are doing okay. Stay safe. Here's a fucking song, you know? And he'd just sing so beautifully and passionately. And we'd just be sitting there like not knowing what the fuck, but we were able to connect with this other human being and the other human beings in the chat. And it's funny to say, but I have made pretty close friends that I don't even know what they look like. I don't even know their real fucking name. Like I just know them as Fluffy Puppy or Fungalicious, you know, like I don't know who these people are in any way other than just text on a screen. But the emotion and the feel, like it's real. It's a real thing. And yeah, it's a little sterilized because obviously it's not a true connection. But for people who are looking for connection and for just to be a part of something, I think Twitch is a great place to start, or at least go for those sorts of things. It's a very positive place. It's very supportive. Like right now, my wife is on a partner push, and she's streaming every day for the month of March, and we have just had so much support from so many people, and where they bring their audience over to our channel, and you got people just talking about it on the internet, and just so supportive. And that's so far from the real life music scene, right? Like real life music scene is cutthroat. It's like, you know, fucking you step over your dying mom to get to the gig, whatever it is, you know, it's like, you know, just you step over your dying child just to steal a gig from your best friend. And it's like, which is not that bad, especially in these last few years before the pandemic, because everyone is eating. So when everyone's eating, generally people are in good spirits. But when there's not enough food, that's when you're stepping over your dead kid to steal a gig from your best friend. So that's awful, but it's terrible. But yeah, it's just a very supportive community. Now, It's very nice. It's very supportive, very cool people on there, but very sensitive people. Very much does it ride on that left side of the aisle, which I find myself there. But on my show, sometimes we talk about things that might be on the other side of the aisle. And I try to be very objective about things because I'm not necessarily trying to take sides. I'm actually just trying to understand. And so we'll talk about things like censorship, and we'll talk about like the good things that Donald Trump accomplished, or,
it's a pretty short conversation.
It is. And I agree with that sentiment. But there are some things that he did that I thought were okay and like probably should be done. And he should have fucking just stopped talking and tweeting and all that stuff. He probably would have been president, but like, he's a fucking idiot and irrational egomaniac, fucking carnival barker, fucking, he's just fucking the worst. But again, I was able to objectively look at it. So when you're talking about these things on a platform like Twitch, you get a little blowback, and I've never gotten so much blowback by just having my friend who voted for Trump, who was a Trump supporter, just talking about, let's just talk about, we're just talking about policy. We're just talking about it's a music podcast. And people were just like, where's the music talk? And it's like, well, the way I look at it is like, if you want to know how musicians talk and really speak to each other, then come on my show, because this is the closest thing you're going to get to the tour bus or the van, because the van conversations are not safe for work and not even safe for this, and so it's the closest thing you're going to get to how musicians actually talk to each other and have opinions other than me perform for you to make you happy, so like, it sometimes I've had one occasion where the chat actually starts to try to censor. We're talking about censorship, and then the chat starts censoring me. It's like, I'm going to mute you. Let's change the subject, blah, blah, blah. And it's pissing me off. And it's only making me talk louder. And it was a great learning experience because it taught me that you can convey ideas to people, especially hard ideas that maybe not everyone's going to be on board for. But if you explain it and you say it in a calm way and maybe, try to relate it to the conversation and keep it in context, you can get people on board. Even if they don't agree with you, you could at least, people be like, I see what they're saying. And it's not just some gut reaction, just knee-jerk reaction, like, oh, fuck you, I'm censor, cancel this motherfucker. That's where we're at, though. That's where we're at with all this shit, is just like, cancel him. It's like, I'm curious on how you guys feel about the cancellation of Pepe Le Pew and Speedy Gonzalez.
I saw an awesome meme last night. I saw an awesome meme that I thought was funny, and it said, I never saw Pepe rape that cat, but if sniffing, kissing, and unwanted hugs get you canceled, Jesus. When is Biden getting kicked out? I thought was hilarious.
I saw a few of those too. Yeah,
that was awesome.
I voted for Biden, but it was definitely a vote against Trump, and I think that I was very hypercritical of Trump, and most everybody was, and I think that we should be hypercritical of these fucking pricks. We should be hypercritical of our politicians who are supposed to be representing what we want, and that's rarely what we get. We rarely get anybody in there that what we want. They're only serving their corporate masters. And I know that sounds all like QE and shit, but it's very true. There's so many corporations. There's so many. What do you call those people who go in there and pay the politicians? Lobbyists. Yes, lobbyists. Lobbyists is who really runs this country, not politicians. So it's. I think that we should take that idea of being hypercritical of Trump and because he was a loudmouth, blowhard asshole, but being hypercritical of him also, I think it was important for us to I mean, the amount of criticism that he took was largely in part of a part of a manipulation that the media was putting on. But I wish that they would be that hypercritical with Joe Biden. And I think that we need to take that idea of being hypercritical and apply it to the president we got now, because the president we got now, they're like, he's fucking, I mean, he might as well be a fucking potato. Like he's not answering questions. He's allowing the Chinese to access our fucking power grid, and he won't even tell us why he did that in an executive order. Like there's so many things that are happening that he has no answers for. He's barely conscious. And look, I voted for him. Okay. So it's like, I'm talking shit about my president who I voted for. And I think everybody else should be too. But what's happening now is that we have this crazy consolidation of like Facebook and social media and the media itself, who are finding lots of money off of clicks and clickbait and rage bait and all this shit. They're finding lots of money, and that's given lots of power to a certain sect of politicians, and money and power. They just want more of it. So I know I'm sounding QE, right? And remember, I voted for fucking Biden. And
this is where most of our conversations end up, is on the media bias and how if you only listen to MSNBC and CNN, you don't get the whole story. They're not interested in that. They're interested in you continue to watch.
Right.
They're not going to tell you something you don't want to hear.
Yeah. If it goes
Jeremy,
against-
I got Fox News on my phone. Okay. But
proud of you. I actually gave Mike homework one week. Tell me one thing you like about Trump and what he did, and one thing you don't like about Biden. Just prove to me you're actually paying attention enough to tell me one thing either way. Yeah, but I don't think most people could.
What was the one thing you didn't like about Biden, Mike?
I don't remember. What did I say, Jeremy? Do you remember? It was a while ago.
I don't remember.
We started this. We did this in January.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
I mean, smelling little girls' hair is one of them. I mean, accusations, and then his vice president saying, "Yeah, he probably did it," and then not talking about that ever again. That's one place we could start. How about NAFTA or the '93 crime bill? Was that the thing?
Yeah, that's. I think that might have been what I brought up back.
I mean, the thing about those two things in particular are those decimated this area, the Midwest, more than any part of the country, I think, because of the huge automotive industry that was just torn apart. And here comes the QE stuff again. But what do you do with a bunch of people who are displaced, out of work, who have become drug addicts because of the stress of being out of work and not being able to provide for your family, and the feeling of having no worth, and depression and mental health, and you're on drugs, and now you're committing crimes to service your addiction and just to survive. And so what do you do with these people that you displaced out of work, that you turned into drug addicts, turned into homeless people? What do you do with those people? They're not really, they're more of a strain on society than they are, a productive. So why not create a bill that swoops them up and throws them in prison, and you get slave labor wages, and now you have a whole new workforce that don't even have to pay. Look, I don't know if that's fucking by plan, but that's what happened. When you put this whole entire region out of work, explosions of crime, explosions of drug addiction, explosions of domestic violence. And it's all just pressure from not being able to provide for your family and not having any feeling of self-worth. And then you're out committing crimes and doing drugs and doing this shit. It makes sense in my mind that, like, yeah, what are you going to do with these people who you would deem a drain on the state? Put them in prison and then make them work for free or pretty much free. And that's sort of what happened. And that's what Joe Biden represents in my head. And then all I see is him sort of perpetuating these bad decisions. And I voted for him. Again, I voted for him. But
hey, he's not on Twitter. Makes sense.
He's not on Twitter. And that's the other thing. I fucking thought Trump did so much harm to this country as the mental health and like, I hated this. Like, did he say something racist? Didn't he say, didn't he, that whole thing? We shouldn't have to be fucking questioning what the intentions of our president is. We shouldn't have to be questioning and defending somebody by saying rapists, calling people rapists and murderers and thugs. And I know that was taken out of context. Okay. I know, but he is a master of the media. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing is baiting the people, his supporters, into fucking getting all riled up and shit. And that's how he won. He appealed to these people who felt like the rest of the country ignored them and that what they had to say. They're Neanderthals or the deplorables. That's
like the word, yeah.
And that's what happens when you try to silence a sect of people, is that extremism comes barreling out. And I think that Trump is a great example of like an extreme reaction. And it gets worse. And when you're talking about media bias and you're talking about this and you're not allowed to say this and you're not allowed to post that, and these celebrities are canceled because they agreed with them, but this same, but this other celebrity who made the same comment, but they agreed with the other guys, it's okay. When you silence a whole group of people, you push people into extremism, and that's how you get fucking a group of dudes in a cabin in the middle of the woods planning to kidnap and murder the governor. And that's how you get a fucking a guy wearing a Trump a MAGA hat at a BLM rally shot in the face. That's how you get an asshole running down people at a BLM march. It's just. On all sides, it creates this fucking extreme place where people feel like they can't express themselves. And that's what happens when people can't express and exercise their freedom of speech, is that they go and they exercise it somewhere else. And then they create their little echo chambers. And then we have fucking craziness. And add in that the Russians and the Chinese are playing us on social media with their little campaigns that they do where they pit us against each other. So we have so much dividing us right now, and so much that's making us want to go out into the streets and burn shit down. And meanwhile, they're creating all this crazy policy. They're making these crazy. What was the Earn It Act? And where they're trying to take away encryption and shit. Fuck VPNs. You can't be allowed to have privacy on the internet. That doesn't maintain the fucking narrative of control. So that's on its way out now. So they're making all these crazy policies while we're fucking out here burning our own fucking neighborhoods down. And it's all driven in the interest of making money. Now, we can go into China if you want to, because this shit sounds QE, but when you're looking at things and you're looking at the history of how this shit's been playing out, I mean, it really does look like some shit. It does look like something bigger is at play. When you look at like how Hollywood is bending to China on censorship of like the Marvel movie, where they changed it was supposed to be a Tibetan monk in the Avengers, but they changed it to some white lady monk. It was like Tilda Swinton or whatever that fuck.
Tilda Swinton in Doctor Strange.
Yeah, she looks like a space alien. Whatever. She's a great actor. But they changed that character out to appease the Chinese. You see how the Chinese they have been over the last since the collapse, the financial collapse in 2008, you see how much of land consolidation that the Chinese are buying up. Toledo, Ohio, a big part of the riverfront downtown is owned by the Chinese. That was sold off because they needed money to rebuild after fucking the 2008 collapse. So you have them buying up land. We're censoring our art for them. We're allowing them access into our power grids. We don't mind the same day that Donald Trump gets banned from Twitter, China releases a pro-Uyghur women are into sterilization propaganda on Twitter. Nothing's said, nothing's done. When you look at how they handled fucking this virus and how they're trying to cover up the fact that it was probably a man-made virus, that it was, you know, in the way that they were trying to cover up the shit at the beginning, when you put the pieces together, and if you're a kooky guy like me and you're seeing all this shit playing out, I can see how one could see some like weird Chinese takeover. And this is noted shit. Like they have a plan to become the next world power. And they don't give a fuck because all they're doing is stealing their technology. They're like, why innovate when you could just steal it? And so they just steal the technology, and it's fucking madness, guys. It's nuts. Okay. And am I saying Joe Biden is in the Chinese pocket? No. But I mean, it does seem weird. It does seem a little weird, just how people, and even how people are defending China and defending, their treatment of the Uyghur people and internment camps and sterilization and rapes and shit. You know, they're defending it because, that's their culture. That's who they are. And so we're already sort of being programmed to accept that this is okay on some level, and that it's not worth talking about. It's not newsworthy. So it's just China, and they're just doing their best. And the orange man was saying China. So like, now we hate him because he was shitting on Chinese people. And it's like, Chinese people are awesome. I fucking love Chinese people. I love Chinese food. The Chinese government can go eat a dick. You know what I'm saying? Like, they can suck a fat one. Fuck them. Like, fuck them. They are murdering Muslims, like internment camps. Fuck China. Chinese people are great. I love Chinese people. But the government is fucked up, man. And I know this all sounds crazy. I know it all sounds nuts, but
like 75% of it. I agree with the how do you pronounce it, Uyghur thing. Like, that's fucked up. Like what they're doing to the Muslim population in China. You know, I've seen a lot of that on John Oliver's show and whatnot, and that's just really not cool. Like,
and he's like one of the only people who are talking about it.
Yeah,
you know, besides like alt media shit.
Yeah. Can you account for your actions on January 6th, or where were you? No.
I was actually on Twitch watching someone they were commenting on the march. And so I watched it all go down, and I watched commentary from this guy who I absolutely love. His name is Wake the Beast. And he's just he's just chatting, and he's just this black dude who fucking talks shit. But he's super smart, and he's super intelligent dude. He was on my show, and like I had to recover for a week from talking to this guy. Seriously, like he's just his brain works magnificently. So I was watching it happen as it was happening. And the funny thing about the January 6th thing is that Alex Jones was noted as saying, "Stop, don't do this, stop." And I think it's a fucking insane world when Alex Jones is screaming for fucking the Viking guy to not go into the Capitol and take selfies. And by the way, that whole thing was such a shit show, and the cops were just letting people in. It was just like, what in the fuck were they even trying to do there? Look, I don't live in the conspiracy theory world or anything. Like, that's not where I do. That's not where I hang out. I don't generally try to be there. But when you look at shit and when you look at it objectively, it does seem like there's some weird shit going on. I'm just curious, Mike. You said you agreed with about 75% of what I was saying. What's the 25% that you disagree with?
I don't know, just some of the stuff on China and things. I'll listen to anyone. That's why, I tell anyone, come on the podcast, we'll talk. Jeremy likes to he wants to talk about the Cuomo thing. He brings it up every week.
Fuck Cuomo too. Fuck that guy. Fuck him straight in the mouth. Fuck him in the face. I do. Fuck him too.
No, I was just fucking around saying 75%. No, you listen, you say some crazy shit, but at the same time, I'm all about reading, doing the research. Like, send me a link, I'll read it. But if it seems like a sketch site, or I just want some more. And yeah, that goes into the whole thing where people are like, well, what's reputable? I mean, to me, even though a lot of people might not think so, I think like established newspapers, AP, Washington Post, those ones that people think are more liberal, but they're journalists. Like, because I was a journalist for a decade, like I didn't have any bias. Even if I did, I left it at the door, to cover a story. So I like to hope and put my faith in that. That's what a lot of the journalists now do it nowadays. But then you have, the stations that are either far left, like MSNBC, or far right, like OAN or Newsmax. And it's just, what can you trust nowadays? So that's why you have to balance it out. Like, my dad throws things at me every day. He'll look at his phone. He just starts laughing. And I know what he's doing, because he's looking at like Fox News or something. He's looking at a Joe Biden article that they posted. I'm like, Dad, that's fine, but just balance it out and like, do some more research, like Google it a little bit and see what else is out there. So I don't think you're crazy enough. You've obviously, you're like me. I mean, I think you go down the rabbit holes. And
please finish.
No, that's okay. I mean, that's the healthy thing to do, I think. I mean, as long as it doesn't lead you somewhere dangerous.
Marching into the fucking Capitol with Viking horns. Yeah, no, I get it. And you're right. And like, that's what I'm saying. I don't go too far down anything because I'm too fucking busy to do all that. But, I like to speak on the fact, you said you were a journalist 10 years ago, and I'd like to posit this theory that journalism has changed dramatically in the last 10 years with the fall of newspapers. They're gone, they're on their way out. The way that Netflix and the social media and YouTube is sort of, cable news is sort of on its way out. What we're seeing now with journalism is death throes and survival. And what Trump provided for in these last 5 years was that ticket. Trump was and we can blame this all on Fox News, because Fox News sort of took politics and turned it into a sport, right? Like, they turned it into fucking Monday Night Football. And it's tonight we have Biden versus Trump. Who's gonna take the goal? Like, it's just fucking theater. And so they took this idea that should have been just this boring thing called politics, where it's just dry and it's factual and it's just the facts. Joe Friday, just the fucking facts. And they turned it into this sport. And with that, they've sort of created teams. They created these fucking Democrats and Republicans, and there's always been that team mentality between Democrats and Republicans, but it was sort of amped up. And then so when you have the internet come in and you start taking away those eyes from Fox News and MSNBC, and the newspapers aren't selling as many copies because all people do now is just go on their Twitter feed, and that's where they get the news. What's happened is that they have to fight to survive. And that means by any means necessary. Any entity wants to live. Life just wants to live, and so I understand. But with that is the compromise of integrity of the field itself. And so now, you mentioned the Washington Post and or whatever the fuck, the Bezos one.
That's Washington.
You have journalists like just making shit up. Like New York Times, just making shit up, and they have this very clickable thing that says, "Guess what Trump's doing now?" Or like, Trump fucking blows up the moon, or whatever it is, whatever crazy shit it is. And then once you click on it and you start reading it, which most people don't, once you click on it, you start getting words like, this is what it would be, or maybe it's this, and this is the possible outcome is that he might blow up the moon. And meanwhile, you have this fucking just danger. Trump is the worst piece of shit ever. And then you get in there and you're like, well, it just seems like he was doing his job, and he had to, sometimes being a president is hard, and you have to make hard decisions, and not everyone's going to agree with that. And so, and of course, I don't agree with a lot of what Trump was doing, but I also saw that the media was manipulating, and they've only kept those tactics. So I would say to you, as a former journalist, that when you were journalizing
I was journalism all over the place.
Journalism all over everyone's faces. You were it was kind of a different time, and it was a different way of doing things. And I think that what we have now is just people. We have people who just have an agenda, and they just want to make it, and they just want to survive. They just want to make money, and they see that shitting on Trump, it gets them clicks, and that gets them paid, and of course they need to feed their family. And so we've built this sort of system where we turn it into this sport for attention. And it's just become, now it just might as well be fucking what's the shitty the Explorer, what's the newspaper that's at the checkout lines?
It used to be the Weekly World News, but you talk about the National Enquirer.
Thank you. Yeah, it might as well all just be the Enquirer now. It might as well all just be tabloid shit.
Yeah.
Hey, the Enquirer broke the Linda Tripp, Monica Lewinsky thing. They broke that story.
No, and the funny thing about the National Enquirer is that they actually break a lot of stories that we never hear. They actually bury a lot of stories. Actually, the National Enquirer is, some would say, has better journalists than the fucking New York Times. The only problem is that there is no integrity because they just take this information and they fucking bribe people with it. So it's like with Trump, they were sitting on all kinds of information, but it happened to be that the Enquirer, the owner of the Enquirer, was buddy with Trump, and he supported Trump and he wanted him to be president. So he buried all that, the porn star shit for him, and it came out anyways. But it's like. NBC too. NBC buried the fucking the Weinstein case. NBC blatantly, because of who is it not Brett Weinstein? What was the guy's name?
Harvey
Weinstein.
Not Harry. Harvey.
Harvey Weinstein had that much pull that he could fucking make a call to NBC to bury a story about him fucking raping women. And
he did a lot of pulling. He did a lot of pulling when the women were in the hotel room. I don't say that's right. I'm not condoning what Harvey Weinstein did at all, but that's pretty much what he did. Thank you, Mike. Thank you. Anytime I can get the Price is Right, you lose sound effect. That's awesome.
There's this story. No, I'm not going to say it. It's awful. It's just, I was going to actually put in perspective of what kind of monster he was, but I don't think we need to do that. But
whatever you think, man, you got an open mic. You good? Whatever you want to say. Okay.
There's no reason to go there. He was a fucking terrible beast of a human being. Like, he's not even a human being, But yeah, these companies have just turned into they're just trying to make money, and they see and the way that they powder Biden's balls now, and the way that they fucking act like he's not senile, and the way that they're not addressing any of the sex, allegations when that came out, the sexual misconduct allegations, and the way that they're overlooking just all the stupid things. Like, he can't even finish sentences, and they're just like, oh, we'll just brush right over that. And if it was Trump, they would have been all over it, and they would have called him a racist and said impeach him and shit. And again, I voted for Biden. I think Trump is awful. I'm glad he's gone. I'm glad that I don't have to wake up every morning and just be like, all right, here we go. News. Oh, Jesus. I am happy that that's not the case anymore. But it's still, we're still dealing with this cancel culture. This, like, you can't speak out against them. If you speak out against fucking the Biden administration, it means you're speaking out against fucking Kamala Harris, and that means you're a white supremacist. And it's like, man, like they're creating this culture of, if you speak out against them, or you speak out against fucking anything that they say, that puts you in the others, that puts you as a white supremacist, that puts you as this, you're a Trump supporter, you're a white supremacist, you're a fucking misogynist, you're a fucking racist, they can just discount you at a moment's notice because you're just speaking your mind, or you're just being, if I had a platform, the things that I'm saying right now would probably get me deplatformed. If I had a real platform, if people really gave a fuck about what I was doing. So, it's disheartening, especially when I put a lot of, I depend a lot upon like YouTube and Twitch and SoundCloud, all these companies. Well, YouTube and Twitch, especially, very, very left companies. Again, I voted for Biden. I don't consider myself a Republican or a conservative.
So speaking of which, what was the name of that sponsor you had?
Podcorn.com. Go to podcorn.com.
The wife mentioned the OJ case. Raina, what are you talking about? Are you talking about how the media did it back then? I mean, yeah, I was 14, 15 when that was happening. I remember being like, yeah, free OJ, woo, because I was a dumb kid and I knew nothing about him. Mm-hmm. Well, he was found guilty in the civil, right? So I can say that he probably cut off her head without getting sued.
If you read his book, you know what he did. Exactly what he did.
If he did it. That's
if I would have done it, this is how I would have done it. This is super cringe, OJ. Super cringe, buddy.
He's looking for the killer on the back nine. It's all right.
That's been going on for like 20 years. He must be tired of doing that by now. But
that joke still landed. It still landed. So.
He needs to find somewhere other than the golf course to look for him. I'm just saying.
He's out of prison now, right? Like he's out.
He's on Twitter, man. He's like, "Hey, Twitter world, juice is loose.
The juice is loose, bitch." Oh man, yeah, fucking OJ, man.
Oh man. All right. Well, Mike, we're going to wrap up, I guess. Do you want to lick Podcorn's balls a little bit more? Do you have anything else to promote? What's going on? Tell me.
No, I'm out. Podcorn's great, but if you guys like, this is pretty much how I talk all the time. So if you liked any of this, you can find me at WeSpeakEnglishGood.com. And of course, my live streams are twitch.tv/WeSpeakEnglishGood. And I live stream every Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Fridays, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Times. And sometimes we just do extra dates. And sometimes we do music streams where we have full band music. So come through. But if you just want an easy content to digest, you can go to WeSpeakEnglishGood.com and just... It's right there. All you gotta do, like the links to the audio is right there. You can just push the button and go. And so that's it. WeSpeakEnglishGood.com and twitch.tv/WeSpeakEnglishGood.
All right, Mike. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show. Mike EP from We Speak English Good. Anytime you want to come back, man, feel free. We love having a guest on here and speaking his mind,
Well, I don't know how much you should love that.
I find it entertaining and refreshing. I think that's what we're all about. The four of us when we're together, that's kind of what we do, but yeah, again, thanks, man, for coming on.
Thanks for having me. I had a blast.
Thanks. Yeah. And we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. You've been listening to The Usual Saints. I'm gonna record. I go. All right, there we go. So we're recording.
A whole different direction.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't disagree with a lot of what he said, but I wasn't expecting it at all. Very aware. I just informed himself. I appreciate that he's not just going down one stream. He's looking at stuff and seeing where it ties together and notices that, hey, some people don't tell you the whole fucking story.
Are you trying to call me out again, or?
No, not just you.
You're
not the only one.
I'm not like that. God damn.
A little bit.
You suck.
Just saying. Your dad would definitely say you are. I'm just saying.
My dad. I don't even want to get into it.
We'll do that another time.
I mean, the other day, it's not like we stopped talking. Well, we did, just for the day. Like he was driving me around because I couldn't drive because of the arm, and I just, he's from a different time, I guess I'll say, you know what I mean? Different generation. And so when I try to talk to him about some things, and I love him, it's just hard. I hope I'm not like that when I'm, as his age and Sophie's like trying to convince me of something. I don't know. I like to think I'm pretty open-minded, so we'll see.
Yeah. That's what your boyfriends have all said.
That's funny. So yeah, I don't have any sound effects like Mike EP. Wah, 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 wah. All right. Yeah, so we'll wrap this up. We might use this as the ending for the show. Thanks, Mike EP, for coming on and doing a nice long interview with us. I honestly didn't anticipate it going that long, but I have no problem with it going that long because I'm all about a good interview. And so it's not like we ever suffered for something to talk about, not just because he could talk, but because because we found plenty to talk about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was good. And that's the kind of guest I want to have, just someone who can be honest and, as long as it's not going to harm them in any way. I don't want to put something out that would do any harm to anyone. So like he said, as long as it's not going to harm his brand, hey, it's going fucking out.
All right. I think at this point he knows what he said. If he had asked us to cut something, we might have, but at this point, I don't think we need to.
No. All right. So thanks, Mike EP from We Speak English Good. WeSpeakEnglishGood.com. Twitch.tv/We Speak English Good. Also, let's see, for the week, I guess that's it, right? We're going to wrap it up. We don't need to talk about anything else. You want to talk about anything else? You got anything else you want to talk about?
No, not today.
You want to talk about the ring lights? $25. I'll send you the link.
Yeah, we'll see.
$25, not bad. You can plug it into the USB port. It's literally USB power.
I got like 8 things plugged into USB already. What the hell?
Get a hub. You'll be fine. I'll send you the hub link too. I bought a hub for 10 devices. All right. Well, guys, if you want to call us, leave a voicemail, 240-724-6877. You can also use that number to call us live and chat while we're streaming on YouTube or, eventually if we ever get over to Twitch. Like, I really want to do that, Jeremy. I just can't. I can't figure it out. If someone shows me, maybe like the Podcorn thing, I really want to do that. But literally when I log into Podcorn, it says write proposal. Like it has someone's name, like a sponsor probably. It says write proposal. I'm like, so I don't know what to do. So I'm definitely going to reach out to Mike and see what that's about. We got to figure something out. I tried to go into the chat, but it didn't want to agree with me. So yeah, you just go to the YouTube and you don't even have to go to the streaming page like I'm on the studio. If you just go to the YouTube page, that link, and you should be able to chat on the right side, but whatever, it's past now. All right, we're going to wrap it up. Call us, leave a voicemail, search us out on social media. We're everywhere, the usual Saints. I think we're not on TikTok yet, but we're everywhere else.
You might want to get on that today before someone else signs it up.
Yeah. Or get a nice presence on Instagram, Facebook group. Go to theusualsaints.com. You can find us everywhere there. We're on every streaming platform, I believe, for podcasts. So whatever your favorite is, Spotify. I'm a big Apple podcast guy. Just go search us out, find us, listen to us. We're fun. We have a blast, except for when Jeremy's here. It's a little boring, but that's fine. He's the only one that was here today. So
beggars can't be choosers, bitch.
All right. So for Jeremy and for myself, Mike D, thank you for listening to another episode of The Usual Saints.
Vinny says peace.
You're supposed to say peace. You don't need to say Vinny says peace.
I said it for him. I know I'd say shit.
He's so stupid.
That's his line.
Peace.
There you go.
Yeah, if Vinny would have showed up today, maybe he could have said it.
Yeah. All right. You have a good day.